In this section, we are going to be working with decimals and doing everything we've done so far this year. So there will be addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and we're going to work with one-step equations. So what's special about working with decimals? Well, it depends on if we're adding and subtracting, or if we're multiplying, or if we're dividing. Addition and subtraction is not too crazy. The key thing is neatness. 7.5 plus 2.71. 7.5 plus 2.71. So let's talk about neatness and what I've just done there. The key component to adding and subtracting with decimals is writing it vertically, but then lining everything up by place value. Meaning, what's in the ones place must line up, what's in the tenths place must line up, what's in the hundredths place must line up, and most importantly and most obviously, the decimal points must line up. Now, if we're lucky, everything's going to line up and there won't be any gaps. If there are gaps, no big deal. Fill them in with a 0. Even with addition, just get in the habit of filling in gaps with 0. It will make your life ultimately easier. And now addition. 0 plus 1 is 1. 5 plus 7 is 12. Carry the 1. 1 plus 7 is 8. 8 plus 2 is 10. In decimal addition and subtraction, the decimal point drops straight down. The sum is 10.21. In number 2, when we line these up, 5.5 and 1.8, they line up perfectly, so we can just add. 5 and 8 is 13, carrier 1. 1 and 5 is 6. 6 plus 1 is 7. Decimal point drops straight down. 5.7 plus 5.8, it all lines up, so away we go. 7 plus 8 is 15, carry the 1. 1 plus 5 is 6. 6 plus 5 is 11. Decimal point drops straight down. 0.9 plus 7.11. We've got a gap, so I'm going to fill that in with a 0 and get to work. 0 plus 1 is 1. 9 plus 1 is 10, so I'll write the 0 and carry the 1. And 1 plus 0 is 1, plus 7 is 7. Sorry, 1 plus 7 is not 7. It never has been. It's always been 8. Drop the decimal point straight down. 2.4 plus 5.52. There's a hole. Let's fill it in and get to work. We get 2, we get 9, we get 7, and we drop the decimal point. 4.7 plus 7.6. It all lines up so we can get right to work. So we start with 7 plus 6 is 13. 1 plus 4 is 5, plus 7 is 12. Decimal point drops straight down. We can do addition with more than 2 numbers at a time, as always. Again, it's just lining everything up. So 6.8, 3.879, and 7. Now the 7 does have an invisible decimal point, and then we've got a whole bunch of gaps to fill in with zeros. But then we're just into addition. 0, 9, and 0 make 9. 0, 7, 0 makes 7. 8 and 8 is 16. With a 0 is still 16, so we get our 6 and carry our 1. 1 and 6 is 7. 7 and 3 is 10. 10 and 7 is 17. Decimal point straight down. 2.8 plus 5.6 plus 7.4. It all lines up neatly so we can get right to work. 8 plus 6 is 14. 14 plus 4 is 18. So we write our 1, carry our 8. Strike that, reverse that. Write the 8, carry the 1, which is what I did. And then we will add the second column. 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 plus 5 is 8. 8 plus 7 is 15. Decimal point drops straight down. And we can also do this with 4 numbers. So 7.8, 2.5, 0.1, and 5.78. Again, we've got some gaps, so let's fill those in with zeros and get to work. 3 zeros and an 8 make an 8. 8 and 5 make 13. 13 and 1 is 14. 14 and 7 is 21. So we keep the 1, carry the 2. 2 and 7 is 9. 9 and 2 is 11. 11 and 0 is 11. 11 and 5 is 16. Decimal point straight down. 1.8, 0.51, 3.11, 1.93. All neatly lined up. We do have a gap to fill in with a 0, and away we go. First column, 0 plus 1 plus 1 plus 3 is 5. In the second column, 8 plus 5 is 13, plus 1 is 14, plus 9 is 23, so we keep the 3 and carry the 2. 2 plus 1 is 3, plus 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7. Decimal point straight down. Subtraction behaves exactly the same way, but we might have to borrow as we work. So let's just be careful and make sure we're paying attention. 4.6 minus 2.1. Okay, everything's lined up, no gaps, we can go. 6 minus 1, sure, that's 5. 4 minus 2, that's 2. Decimal point straight down. 7.3 minus 4.7. Everything does line up, but we can't do 3 minus 7, so we have to borrow. We drop the 7 to a 6, the 3 becomes a 13, and now we're good to work. 13 minus 7 is 6, 6 minus 4 is 2, decimal point straight down. 5.206 minus 0.996. Everything lines up, so no issues there. So let's go to work. 6 minus 6 is 0. 0 minus 9 we can't do, so we have to borrow from the 2. It becomes a 1, and the 0 becomes a 10. 10 minus 9 is 1. I have 1 minus 9, which I can't do, so I borrow from the 5. It becomes a 4, and the 1 becomes an 11. 11 minus 9 is 2. 4 minus 0 is 4. Decimal point straight down. In number 14, we have 5.5 minus 2.888. We have gaps. They need zeros. When we try to subtract, 0 minus 8 can't be done. And when you try to borrow, you're trying to borrow from 0, and that can't be done. That means we have to come back to this second 5, borrow from it, make it 4, so that this 0, the first 0, can become 10. Then immediately borrow from it drops down to 9, and our second 0 can become 10. Now we can work. 10 minus 8, that's 2. 9 minus 8, that's 1. 4 minus 8, we gotta borrow again. 5 has to drop down to 4, and the 4 can become 14. Now 14 minus 8, all day long, that's 6. 9 minus 2, I'm sorry, that's a 4 now. Read my own writing. 4 minus 2 is 2. Decimal point straight down. 7.4 minus 6.18. There's a gap. Fill it in. And anytime you have to fill in, you're almost certainly going to have to borrow. So let's knock the 4 down to a 3 and the 0 up to a 10. 10 minus 8 is 2. 3 minus 1 is 2. 7 minus 6 is 1. Decimal point straight down. 4.34 minus 0.3. There's a gap. Let's fill it in, just so everything's nice and visible, nice and obvious. And no borrowing here either. 4 minus 0 is 4. 3 minus 3 is 0. 4 minus 0 is 4. Decimal point straight down.